Hello everyone, this is Ben Dunn, your AP Sensei. Sorry I haven't posted in a while, but a lot of things been going on this last couple of weeks. As you know, we had a national election last week, and now we have a new government coming in. And it's certainly turned in such a way that many people were surprised by it. Not me. I pretty much predicted, or I pretty much felt that this is what's going to happen because just the mood of the country was in a state of change. I tried to avoid talking about politics, but it is part of our lives. And I'm going to discuss a little bit about what I think, how I think this new election will affect the comic book industry in the future. Now, there are a few things that many of you may not realize, but we are on a sea change in terms of the way the direction the company is going. Now, many of you may not be old enough to remember, but during the 1970s, we had similar, things going on at that time, and which brought in Ronald Reagan into power during the 1980s, in which I grew up in, so I certainly experienced it. And this is definitely was a time of great change. Are we going to experience something like the 1980s? Well, I don't know. Maybe we don't. These are just things that I think may occur now that we have a new government being installed next year and for the next 4 years. Now, this was certainly something that Reagan did not have, was the so-called trifecta of having not only the upper and lower chambers of Congress, but also the Supreme Court, and as well as the presidency. So, a couple of things I think, will affect some comic book publishers, and that is the upcoming tariffs that the incoming administration has threatened to impose on importers and countries outside the U.S. that are doing business. Now, I'm not an economic professor, or I'm not an expert in that. All I know is that if these tariffs are to be implemented, some are saying that between 60 to 80%, it will greatly affect our ability, at least Antarctic Press's ability to create comics, because we do a lot of printing overseas, and quite frankly, that's really the only way we can keep prices down, and also remain profitable. And that's really what it comes down to. If these tariffs are actually implemented, then it will affect our ability to create books. Now, how we get around that? Well, we're hoping that we can find either some domestic printers who are willing to print our books at a cost that will allow us to remain in business, or we find other countries that may not be as harshly affected by the tariffs as ones that will be. So we are in a nebulous zone right now until the incoming administration actually announces what it's going to do. We do have plans in place that should it happen, we'll have to make adjustments in order to remain in business. Now, I'm not sure how many other publishers rely on outside sources for publishing their books, but it definitely will have an impact. Another thing is just the change in attitude toward the economy. Now, should the economy improve and people start having disposable income, will this mean the comic book they'll start buying comics again? Well, I don't know. That's a tricky question because, during the pandemic, people started getting out of the habit of going to comic stores because they were closed and stopped buying comics. Will they start coming back because they have more disposable income? Maybe. I don't know. I think a lot of it is just content. If you don't have reason for people to go to the comic stores and buy comics, then they're not going to go. As simple as that. And I don't think the price is going to be an issue to be bought, because when people have disposable income, they really don't think about price. It's something that they want. People spend vast amounts of money on things they really don't need, but they want. And it doesn't matter how much it really costs if they have the disposable income. And if they have disposable income, then they're going to buy what they want. Simple as that. And you have to create demand. And in order to create demand, you've got to create product that will foster that demand. And that's what it comes down to. You don't have a good product, you're not going to have good demand. And hopefully we'll start seeing people having disposable income again, so that they can start buying things that they want. Now, also the attitudes of people have certainly shifted somewhat to the right, and this could be an indictment on all these quote-unquote wokeness that people have been lambasting in the industry as of late, especially the entertainment industry. How will this affect the comic book publishers, especially the big two? I don't know. A lot of creators who are espousing this kind of wokeness are experiencing somewhat temper tantrums, and this kind of befuddles me, considering that they're supposed to be the adults, the so-called adults in the room, and they should just take it with grace. They should accept it and do what they can to win next time. It befuddles me that they think that they can blame other factors other than themselves for the failure of losing. If you lose, then you need to ask yourself what you did wrong. What is it that I did wrong? How can I prevent that from happening again? I don't want you to compromise your beliefs. If you believe in something, stick to it. Don't change you, but don't insult others for their beliefs. I respect you for your beliefs. You should respect mine. You respect me for my beliefs. This is where you have to convince me that your idea is better than mine. Hurling insults at other people because they don't believe in what you believe is a surefire way to instantly, isolate yourself from other people who don't share your same beliefs. I mean, I deal with people all the time who I don't have the same belief system as they do, but I don't go around insulting them. I don't go around, telling them, calling them names, saying that their beliefs are worse than mine. It's better just to keep it to yourself, especially when you're in business. Now, if you're a politician or a theologian or philosopher or whatever, say what you want. I don't care. I don't give a shit. If you don't, if you say something I don't agree with, I just don't have to listen to you. If you can give me a convincing argument as to why I should believe in your thing, then maybe I might change my mind. But the minute you call me a name, or insult me, I've turned you off. I won't even listen to you anymore. I won't give you the time of day. But I'm not going to insult you. I'm not going to attack you because of that. I'm like Jesus turning the other cheek. Just say your vile, whatever you feel like, thing, and throw your temper tantrums. That just only shows you, other people what you are like. And it just befuddles me how grown adults, become infantile babies because they don't get their way. They should look back. When I experience a failure or loss, I look back and I say, Oh, okay. Well, that sucked. What did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? How do I avoid that in the future? Believe me, and I've said this before many times. Anarchic Press in its nearly 40 years of existence, we've made mistakes, lots of mistakes. But we're human. That's why we do. The thing is are you going to learn from that mistake? Are you going to let that, change you in such a way that you won't experience that failure in the future? And this is something that I'm learning. Not learning, but I experienced. As of late, back in people were vile, and insulting throughout human history. It's nothing new. This is nothing new. It's just that we now have the social platforms on the internet that allows people to express themselves, to the whole world, and see for themselves what kind of people they really are. Back in then, it was much harder, much more difficult, to express your express your feelings about things to other people. You had to either do it to your immediate family or to your immediate friends, and that was usually it within that circle. If you wanted to say something, you had to type it out and think about it, and you wouldn't probably get as much of a big reach as you do nowadays with somebody on TikTok who just throws a temper tantrum for the whole world to see. And I think a lot of people are getting sick of that. I think people are getting sick of immature titty babies who thinks that, by throwing a temper tantrum, somehow that's going to change the minds of other people. All that does is just make you a clown. It beclowns you, basically. Because no one really cares about, what you think. They just want to experience you, belittling yourself. And I'm hoping that this new administration will be, I'm hopeful that this administration will allow people to, again, have disposable income and start buying comics again. Because really, that's really all I want is people to start buying comics again. Will there be a change in attitude on the big two? I don't know. It really comes from the top. They may realize, hey, what we've been doing for the last 4 to 8 years isn't working, and it's time for us, just like in the government, to make a change. Maybe we should start hiring people who are qualified, who are talented, who know their audience, who won't insult them, insult the audience. I don't know, it may be too late for them. It just seems like, but they're owned by big corporations, and the big corporations may say, maybe it's time for us to, go with the flow. Time for us to give what the people demand. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm hopeful for the next 4 years as far as the comic industry goes. I'm not willing to give it up just yet. There are challenges ahead. How we meet those challenges is going to be a reflection of you as the individual. Do you want to just wallow in self-pity and depression? Or do you want to pick yourself up, dust yourself off and attack whatever the problem is head on, and, convince people that your idea is better. And hopefully we will see a revival of the comic industry. A lot of people are very down on it right now, but I'm hopeful that this will be a beginning of a new era of comic books. So anyway, that's just my reflection on the last week or so. And until next time, this has been Dunn signing off.